She prepared you for what was coming. Eva, she didn't raise you to lose.
Eva Jones pressed her back flat against her seat and stopped breathing. Not because she was tired. Not because the cabin pressure had shifted or the altitude had done something strange to her ears the way it sometimes did on long flights. She stopped breathing because the man 3 rows ahead had just moved seats for the 3rd time. And this time, he had looked directly at her before he sat down. Not at the window. Not at the flight attendant passing with a silver tray. At her. Her fingers found the armrest and held it. She was 10 years old, dressed in a deep navy cashmere set with her initials monogrammed in gold at the cuff, her braids pulled back with a cream silk scrunchie, her white gold chain sitting cool against her collarbone. She looked, by every visible measure, like a wealthy child on a long flight to Seoul who should have been asleep an hour ago. She was not asleep. She was counting. The man in 1C had moved from 4A to 2D to 1C in the space of 90 minutes. He had not eaten. He had not reclined his seat. He kept his phone face down on the tray table and checked it without unlocking it. Just pressing the side button, watching the screen light up, setting it down again. 4 times in 6 minutes. Eva had counted those 2. She did not know what she was counting toward. She only knew that something was wrong, the way you knew a room was different before you could see what had changed in it. Something is wrong with that man. She held the thought carefully, the way she held most things she didn't understand, quietly and completely alone. And then she felt it. A different kind of wrong. Not from 1C. From across the aisle. She turned. He was already looking at her. He was 12, maybe 13, she would find out later it was 12. And he was dressed like someone had told him once that clothes were a language and he had taken that seriously ever since. Slim charcoal trousers. A fitted black mock neck. A pale sand overcoat folded with precision on the seat beside him. A watch on his wrist that was thin and quiet and expensive in the way that never announced itself. He had a book open on his tray table. He was not reading it. His eyes were on her, dark, steady, unbothered, and when she met them, he did something she did not expect. He tilted his head. Just slightly. Just barely. In the direction of 1C. I see him too. Eva's breath came back all at once. She stared at him. He waited. He had, she would come to understand, an extraordinary capacity for waiting. Then the flight attendant appeared between them, silver tray extended, soft-voiced and perfectly timed, and the moment broke apart like something fragile. Miss Eva. Warm chocolate croissant, fresh fruit, your mango sparkling water. The attendant set each item down with a quiet ceremony. Can I get you anything else? No thank you, Eva said. This is perfect. The attendant crossed the aisle. Master Chi 1. Barley tea and the grilled salmon onigiri. Thank you, the boy said. His voice was low, deliberate. You remembered the tea without me asking. I appreciate that. The attendant looked genuinely touched. She moved away. Eva looked at her croissant. Then she looked up. You were watching him for 11 minutes, he said. His voice carried just far enough. No further. The man in 1C. Eva blinked. You were counting? I was noticing. He lifted his barley tea. She studied him. He did not look away. He did not shift or fidget or do any of the things people did when they were pretending to be calmer than they were. He simply waited, with the patience of someone who had decided long ago that waiting was not weakness. He moved seats 3 times, she said carefully. Twice before cruising altitude. Once after. Chi-Won set his tea down. He hasn't eaten. His tray is untouched. The phone he keeps face down. He's checked it 4 times in 6 minutes without unlocking it. A pause. He's waiting for a signal. How do you know about signals? Something moved behind his eyes. Quick. Like a door opening and closing before anyone could see inside. My father travels a lot, he said. I've learned to watch. Welcome to Black Silk Stories, the home of Afro-Korean stories that hit different. Subscribe, drop a comment, and do not go anywhere. This is only the beginning. The cabin had dimmed around them by the time they exchanged names. I'm Eva. Chi-Won. He picked up his book. Put it down again. You should eat your croissant. It won't be good cold. You sound like my mother. Where is your mother? Eva nodded backward. 3 rows behind her, Amelia Jones was fully reclined, silk eye mask in place, locks wrapped in a satin-edged bonnet, dressed in the cream silk pajama set from her own brand's private line. She slept the way she did everything, completely without compromise. Even unconscious, she looked like the cover of something important. She works until she crashes, Eva said. Literally. Chi-Won glanced at Emilia, then back at Eva. And your father? It landed the way quiet questions sometimes did. Without warning, right in the center of something she had long ago stopped expecting not to hurt. I don't have one, Eva said. Flat. Factual. The kind of voice that had finished grieving and moved on to simply stating, it's just us. Chi-Won was quiet for a moment. Not the quiet of someone searching for the right thing to say. The quiet of someone who understood that some things didn't need a response. They needed to be received. My mother is gone too, he said finally. Different reason. But still gone. Eva looked at him. I'm sorry. Don't be. He said it without self-pity, without performance. My father is enough. He is more than enough. She believed him. She didn't know why, but she believed him the same way she had believed his tilt of the head across the aisle, instinctively and without needing it explained. What does your father do? She asked. The door behind his eyes opened and closed again. Faster this time. Business, Chi-Won said. Import. Export. Pause that was half a second too long. Protection. Eva nodded. To a 10-year-old with a billionaire mother, that explained everything. Every parent she had ever met did something that sounded simple and meant something complicated. My mom does skincare, she said. But really she does everything. She says skincare is just the door. Once people trust your skin, they trust your brand. Once they trust your brand, they trust you with other things, Chi-Won finished. Eva pointed at him. Exactly. She took a bite of her croissant. Still warm in the center. She's been saying that since I was 7. I didn't understand it then. And now? Now I do. She chewed. Swallowed. How old are you? 12. Almost 13, she guessed. 12, he repeated, and the corner of his mouth moved. Not quite a smile. The suggestion of one. I'm 10, she said, and she sat up slightly before she could stop herself. Almost 11, he said. She narrowed her eyes. How did you know that? You sat up when you said it. People only do that when they're trying to add something. Eva stared at him. Almost doesn't count, he added. Almost 13 doesn't count either, she said. This time he did smile. Small. Brief. Real. Fair. 3 rows ahead, the man in 1C shifted in his seat. Both of them noticed. Neither of them said anything. The awareness passed between them like something shared. The quiet agreement of 2 children who had each, in their own separate lives, learned that the world did not always announce its dangers before they arrived. Do you go to Seoul often? Chi-Won asked. His eyes were back on his untouched book. 4 times now. My mom has a partner there. A cosmetics distributor. Eva tucked her feet beneath her. It's my favorite city. I don't know why. It just feels like something important is always about to happen. Chi-Won was quiet for a moment. Seoul does that, he said. My father says the city breathes differently. Like it is always preparing. Preparing for what? He never said. He turned a page he hadn't read. I used to think it was a riddle. Now I think he just meant that Seoul doesn't sleep. It waits. Eva turned that over in her mind. She liked it. She liked the way he said things, like each word had been considered before it was released, like speaking was a decision he made deliberately every single time. What school do you go to? She asked. Hanguk International. Yongsan. He glanced at her. You. Westlake Academy. Los Angeles. She wrinkled her nose. I like it. I just hate the homework. My teacher assigns essays every single week like we don't have actual lives. What kind of essays? Last week it was describe a moment that changed how you see the world. She said it in the flat tone of someone reading something off a wall they resented. 3 pages. Double-spaced. What did you write? Eva tilted her head. Why do you want to know? Because you're interesting, he said simply. Not as flattery. As observation. I want to know what you think changed how you see the world. She was quiet for a moment. Outside the window, thin clouds moved beneath them in the dark, lit faintly silver by the moon. The first time I traveled alone with my mom, she said finally. I was 7. We went to Paris for her brand launch. She was at the event and I was in the hotel room and I looked out the window at the Eiffel Tower all lit up. She paused. And I thought the world is so big and my mom built something in it. Like she made a mark. On this enormous thing. A beat. That was when I understood what she was doing. And why she was always tired. Chuan had stopped pretending to read. That's not a normal thing for a 7-year-old to think, he said. I know. She shrugged. My mom says I have an old soul. My father says the same about me. He considered her. Maybe that's why first class always feels strange. We're too old for it to impress us and too young to have earned it. Eva laughed, sudden, unguarded, and caught it immediately, glancing back at her sleeping mother. Amelia didn't stir. I've never heard anyone say that, Eva whispered. But it's exactly right. Chi-Wen's expression shifted into something warmer. Not open but less closed. Like a window that had been moved an inch. Do you have a phone? He asked. Yes. Then we should exchange contacts. He said it the way he said most things, like it was simply the next logical step. You're interesting to talk to. That doesn't happen often. Eva raised an eyebrow. Do you tell everyone they're interesting before you ask for their number? No. No hesitation. I've never asked anyone for their number. She believed that too. She pulled her phone from the woven pouch in her seat pocket. He produced his slim dark case, no decoration. They exchanged numbers across the aisle like two people completing a quiet transaction that mattered more than it looked. I'm saving you as Eva Los Angeles, he said. I'm saving you as Chi-Wen's soul, she replied. Accurate. Practical. He almost smiled again. Get some sleep. Seoul is 7 hours away, and you'll want to be awake when we land. The city looks different in the morning. She settled back, pulling her blanket up. Good night, Chi-Wen from Seoul. Good night. She did not sleep for another hour. But she felt, for reasons she could not have explained to anyone, least of all herself, less alone in the vast, humming dark of the cabin than she had been before he spoke. 3 rows ahead, the man in 1C had gone still. Eva watched him until her eyes grew heavy. When she finally closed them, Chi-Wen's reading light was still on. 3 months later, Eva had a theory about loneliness. It wasn't emptiness. Emptiness was too simple, too clean. Loneliness had texture. It was the specific weight of a room that had been full and wasn't anymore. It was the sound of an apartment that had 22 rooms and a rooftop and a view that made visitors stop mid-sentence and stare, and still managed, on most evenings, to feel like a place where sound went to disappear. Amelia Jones was a good mother. Eva knew this the way she knew her own name, without needing to argue it or prove it. Her mother remembered her teachers' names, her best friend's complicated family situation, the exact shade of purple Eva had wanted for her bedroom walls. When Amelia was present, she was fully present. Fierce, warm, completely there. She was just gone. Often. And for long stretches. So on the evenings when the apartment was quiet and Debbie had left dinner on the counter and the city outside was doing its usual glittering indifference, Eva sat at the long marble kitchen island with her homework and her phone and the particular silence that had no name but was very familiar to children of brilliant, driven, frequently absent parents. She opened her messages. Chi-Wen. How was the essay? He was 17 hours ahead. She always had to remember that. When it was evening in Los Angeles, he was already deep into the next day in Seoul. Eva. I got an A. Miss Hernandez said it was evocative. I had to look that word up. Chi-Wen. It means it made her feel something. Eva. I know that now. Chi-Wen. What did you write about this time? Eva. She asked us to write about someone we admire. Chi-Wen, your mother. Eva, obviously. Who did you think? Chi-Wen. My father. Eva, obviously loudly crying face. She could feel him not smiling at that. 3 months of messages had taught her his rhythm, the dry precision of him, the way he was funnier than he would ever claim to be, the way he listened in a manner that made her feel heard in a way she rarely was at school, where being Amelia Jones's daughter meant people were always either performing for her or slightly afraid of her. Eva. Can I ask you something weird? Chi-Wen, you always ask something weird. Go ahead. Eva, what does your dad actually do? Like really? The 3 dots appeared. Vanished. Appeared again. Chi-Wen. He protects people. And he makes sure the people who need to be afraid are afraid. Eva read it twice. Eva, is that dangerous? Yes. But he has never let it touch me. He is very careful about that. Eva. Do you ever wish he did something normal? Like accounting or something? Chi-Wen. Do you ever wish your mother sold regular moisturizer instead of running a global empire? Eva put the phone down and stared at the kitchen counter. Picked it back up. Eva, that's annoyingly fair. Chiwon, I know. Eva. You're so smug for someone I've only met once. 1. We have spoken every day for 3 months. Eva, that's not the same as meeting. Chiwon, isn't it? She didn't answer that. She looked instead at the photographs on the far wall of the living room. Eva at 5 in Atlanta, Eva at 7 in Paris, Eva and Amelia at the beach in Cape Town, both of them laughing, the sun burning orange behind them, Amelia's head thrown back, alive and careless and beautiful in the way she only ever was when nobody needed anything from her. Eva 1. Yes. Eva, I really wish I had a dad. She hadn't planned to say it. It came out the way the truest things sometimes did without permission, from somewhere underneath the careful, composed part of her. The response came immediately. Chiwon, I know. You have said it before. Not in words. But I know. Eva, is that weird to say? No. It's honest. Honest is never weird. Eva, my mom says the same thing. Chiwon. She sounds like someone worth admiring. Eva looked at the photograph again. Amelia laughing at the ocean. Amelia, who had built everything from nothing and given Eva everything she could name and was still, somehow, never quite a full presence in the long quiet evenings. Eva, she is. She really is. She closed the phone, turned off the kitchen light, climbed into her too large bed in her purple-walled room and lay there listening to Los Angeles do what it always did, glitter and hum and move through its night without caring about any particular person in it. She thought about Seoul. She thought about a boy across an aisle with a book he wasn't reading. She fell asleep. Amelia Jones did not look like a woman who was dying. That was the thing Eva would turn over and over in the months afterward, the specific cruelty of it. Her mother had looked radiant in those final weeks. 3 journalists at the Seoul product launch stopped Amelia in the corridor just to say so. Her CFO at the Los Angeles board meeting told her she was glowing, and that she should bottle whatever she was doing. Amelia had laughed and said she would add it to the product line. She had known something was wrong for longer than she told anyone. Eva would learn this later, from Dr. Choi, the quiet Korean physician who had been monitoring Amelia privately for 8 months while Amelia ran her empire and raised her daughter and treated every headache like an inconvenience and every wave of exhaustion like an invoice she would pay later. But in those final weeks, Eva only knew what she could see. And what she saw was her mother at the kitchen island at 11:30 on a Tuesday night. Not working, just sitting. Hands around a mug of tea that had gone cold. Eyes on the window. The city outside doing its relentless glitter. Eva had come down for water. She stood in the doorway in her pajamas and watched Amelia for a moment before her mother felt her there. Baby. Amelia straightened. Shoulders back, soft smile, full presence. The performance was instant and flawless. She had spent years perfecting it. Why are you up? Couldn't sleep. Eva crossed to the refrigerator. Got her water. Then she sat down across the island because something in the quality of the silence felt like it needed company. You're not working. No. You're always working at night. I know. Amelia looked at her tea. I'm taking a small break. Eva studied her mother's face. She had her mother's eyes, the kind that caught things. Right now they were catching something that didn't have a name yet. A heaviness. A stillness that didn't belong to rest. Mom. Are you okay? Amelia looked up. For less than a breath. Less than a heartbeat, something moved across her face. Not the smile. Not the performance. Something underneath all of it. Something tired and true and very private. Then it was gone. I'm fine, my love, Amelia said. Just thinking. About what? Amelia reached across the island and tucked a loose braid behind Eva's ear. The specific tenderness she only showed in late-night moments, when the world was quiet enough for her to just be a mother and nothing else. About you, she said. About how fast you're growing. About how proud I am. A pause. About how everything I've built, every single piece of it, I built so you would never have to start from nothing. So you would always have ground beneath your feet. Eva frowned. Why are you talking like that? Like what? Like you're saying goodbye to something. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a siren rose and faded. I'm not saying goodbye to anything, Amelia said. I'm appreciating. Eva was not convinced. But she was 11, and her mother was the most capable person she had ever known, and there was a particular cruelty in being perceptive enough to feel that something was wrong but not old enough to name it or fight it. They sat together for another 20 minutes and talked about small, safe things. The literature project. The Seoul distributor's daughter Amelia thought Eva should meet. The purple wall that had begun to chip near the window. Normal things. Safe things. Things that held the shape of ordinary life. When Eva went back to bed, she picked up her phone. Eva, are you awake? It was past noon in Seoul. The response came in under a minute. Chi-won, lunch break. What's wrong? She stared at that. He always knew. Even through a screen, even across 17 time zones, he always knew the difference between a message that was nothing and a message that was something trying very hard to look like nothing. Eva, my mom was sitting in the kitchen not working. At midnight. A pause. One. How did she look? Eva, beautiful. But like the way things look beautiful when you're studying them carefully because you might not see them again. A longer pause. Chuan. Has she seen a doctor recently? Eva, she sees doctors all the time. She's always fine. Chuan. That's not what I asked. Eva stared at the ceiling of her purple room. Eva, I don't know. Chuan, talk to her. Not about business or school or normal things. Really talk to her. Eva. What if she doesn't tell me the truth? Chuan. Then you'll know something is wrong. And you won't be alone in knowing it. She held her phone against her chest in the dark. The city outside her window kept its bright, indifferent glow. Eva 1. Yes. Eva. Thank you for always answering. The response took a moment longer than usual. Chi-won always. Amelia Jones died on a Thursday morning in November, in her own bed, in the apartment she had built to her exact specifications, in the city she had chosen, with the November light coming in gray and quiet through the window she had always loved. She had kissed Eva goodnight in the hallway the evening before. She had held Eva's face in both hands, 1 second longer than usual, and said, "You are the best thing I have ever made." Eva had laughed, a little embarrassed. "Mom, good night." "Good night, my love." Debbie went in with coffee at 7:15. Eva was at the kitchen island eating breakfast when she heard the sound. Not a scream. Something that had no shape, low, broken, the sound a person made when language stopped being available. Eva had never heard it before. She understood it immediately. She was at the doorway before she knew she had moved. Her mother's face was peaceful. Still. Turned slightly toward the window. Eva stood in the doorway for a very long time. The apartment filled fast. The family doctor. 2 women from Amelia's legal team in identical dark coats, speaking in low, quick voices Eva wasn't meant to hear. Amelia's cousin Nova flew in from Atlanta, and cried so completely she was useless for anything else. Debbie moved through all of it making tea nobody touched, answering the door that kept producing more people Eva didn't know. Nobody looked at Eva directly for very long. They looked at her the way adults looked at grieving children, the quick, flinching look that meant, "I don't know what to do with you." And then their eyes slid away, back to each other and their phones and the enormous complicated machinery of someone's death. Eva sat on the window seat with her knees up and her phone in her hands and watched the city below as if it owed her something. By evening she had heard the word estate 3 times, assets twice, and controlling interest once, spoken in the hallway by a voice that did not lower itself quite far enough. She was 11. Her mother had made sure she understood every one of those words. She had also noticed something else. Mr. Tony, 6 years at Amelia's side, the only security her mother had ever trusted with her private calendar and the building access codes, had come to the door that afternoon. Eva had seen him through the gap before it closed. The legal women had told Debbie to turn him away. Private family matter, they had said. Mr. Tony had looked at Eva through that gap for just 1 second. His eyes had said everything his voice was not permitted to say. Eva filed it. Said nothing. She waited until Nova had cried herself to sleep in the guest room, and Debbie had finally sat down and the legal women had stepped into the hallway with their phones. Then she went to her room, closed the door and called Chi-won. 2 rings. Eva. Immediate. Wide awake. He had been waiting. She understood that without being told. The silence of a full day with no messages had already told him everything. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Eva. Softer. She's gone. The words were flat and small, like they had spent everything just getting out of her body. My mom is gone. She went to sleep and she didn't wake up. The line held silence. Not the silence of someone without words. The silence of someone making space deliberately, steady and intentional the way a structure held weight. I'm here, Chi-won said. I don't know what to do. Her voice cracked. She pressed her hand over her mouth because she had held herself together all day, and the apartment was full of people, and she had not broken once in front of any of them. I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. You don't have to know that tonight. But there are people here. Lawyers. And they keep saying assets and estate and they're watching the staff like. She stopped. Made herself organize it. Made herself be the version of herself that noticed things and held them carefully. Something is wrong, Chi-won. Not just that she's gone. Something else. I can feel it. Tell me what you've seen. She told him. The legal women who arrived within an hour. The calls made out of earshot. Mr. Tony turned away at the door on the day Amelia died. Silence. Mr. Tony has been with her for 6 years, Eva said. She trusted him completely. And they removed him today. On the day she died, Chi-won said. Not a question. Yes. The silence stretched across the Pacific, thin and taut. Eva. His voice was careful now. Precise. I need you to act normally tonight. Be the grieving child because you are grieving and that is completely real. But don't let them see that you're also watching. Okay. Does your mother have a safe? A locked panel? Something separate from everything else? Behind the bookshelf in her study. Eva's voice dropped. She showed me when I was 9. She said if anything ever happened I should go there first. Before anyone else. She made me memorize the combination. She told you that, Chi-won said quietly. When you were 9. I thought she was being thorough. She was always thorough. She was protecting you. A pause. She knew something was coming, Eva. She prepared you for it before it arrived. The tears came then, silent, unstoppable. And she let them because it was only Chi-won and it didn't count as breaking if it was just him. I'm scared, she whispered. I know. I don't have anyone here who can actually help me. Nova is useless. Debbie is kind but she can't protect me. And the people who are supposed to be helping feel like exactly the ones I need to be protected from. You're not alone. Something in his voice had shifted. Still calm, still measured, but carrying something new underneath it. The sound of a decision being made. Eva, I need to tell my father. She went still. What? What you're describing, this is not grief administration. This is a move. Someone is making a move on everything your mother built. And they chose today because today you are the most vulnerable you will ever be. A beat. My father knows how to deal with people who take what is not theirs. But I need your permission. Because once I tell him, he will act. And when my father acts, things change. Permanently. Eva looked at her closed door. Through it, one of the legal women's voices, low, rapid, purposeful, still working the phone at this hour on this night. She thought about her mother's hands on her face in the hallway. You are the best thing I have ever made. She thought about everything Amelia had built. Every city, every product, every carefully constructed piece of an empire built from nothing. From a young black woman from Atlanta who had decided the world would trust her and then made sure it did. She thought about the panel behind the bookshelf. Go there first. Before anyone else. Tell him, Eva said. Chi-won exhaled slowly. Okay. I'm going tonight, Eva said. Not morning. Tonight while everyone is asleep. She wiped her face. Sat up straighter. My mom didn't raise me to wait. A pause. Then quiet and absolute. No. She didn't. Will you stay on the phone? I'm not going anywhere. Eva stood. She looked at herself in the dark mirror across the room. Small, red-eyed, barefoot. In the pajamas she had been wearing when the world ended that morning. She made herself stand the way her mother stood. Shoulders back. Eyes clear. The world is large and we have made our mark upon it. Okay, she said quietly. Let's go. 17 floors below. Los Angeles moved through its night without ceremony. The city that Amelia Jones had chosen. The city she had built something in. The city that did not slow, not even for the death of extraordinary women. But in Seoul, in a house that looked from the outside like nothing and was on the inside something else entirely, a 12-year-old boy set down his phone and walked a long corridor to his father's study. He knocked twice. Come in, said a voice that the right people feared and the right people trusted without question. Chi-won opened the door. Chul Soon-kwon looked up from his desk. He was a large man, not in the way of physical size so much as in the way of presence, the way certain people occupied rooms completely without appearing to try. He had his son's dark eyes and none of his son's restraint. He looked at Chi-won the way he looked at everything that mattered. Fully without blinking. Appa, Chi-won said. I need to tell you about someone. Her name is Eva. And she needs us. Chul soon set down his pen. Sit down, he said. Chi-won sat and began. Eva Jones was 11 years old, motherless, and alone in a 22-room apartment with people who had come for what her mother built. She was also the daughter of Emilia Jones. And across the Pacific, the son of Chul Soon-kwan had just said her name out loud in the one room in Seoul where names became action. Emilia had not raised her to lose. And it turned out neither had anyone else. This has been Black Silk Stories, where every story is a world and every world hits different. If this story found you, it found you for a reason. Subscribe, leave a comment, and come back. Because Eva and Chi-won are only just beginning. And where they're going, you do not want to be left behind.